If you're socially awkward, if you're socially anxious, if you lack social skills and you don't really know how to or what to say, what people say, I don't know what to say. Here's why you don't know what to say, okay? What is communication? Communication is something that two people speak, right? Two people exchange information, two people exchange experiences based on their own experience. That's my definition. I don't know if it's Webster's, who knows, but that's my definition. And in order for you to communicate with someone, other than working a job and just taking down their order, right? If you want to have a real, genuine conversation with someone, I'm not talking gender specific. I'm talking conversation with a woman, conversation with a man, no diddy. If you're trying to communicate, if you're trying to relay who you are, what you've experienced in this world, you have to know yourself. And a lot of guys, they don't know who they are, and that's why they lack confidence. That's why they lack social skills. That's why they are afraid to talk to other people because they have a low self worth, a low self love because they don't know who they really are. When you know who you really are and you really get to know yourself, then speaking to everyone is easy. You've gone through the process of getting to know who you are. Before you can get to know other people, you have to get to know who you are. Who are you? Not your first name, not your last name, because that's something that's given to you at birth. Who are you? A lot of times when we grow up, right, we get out there and maybe you got into a relationship at a young age. And what happens when you get into a relationship at a young age as a boy, turn into a teenager, to a man? A lot of times what happens is you get infatuated with the person. You get infatuated with that woman. You get infatuated with them and your focus is on them. Your focus is on them. And that's why you're not getting to know yourself during that period because you're so focused on them. And it's not only until you get to know yourself that then in the next relationship that you get into, you can still get to know more about yourself because you're focused on the other person. But since you found that self love and you found who you are, you got to know who you are, you get to see yourself as well from third person. So you get to know the other person, but at the same time, even if you experience something with that person, you're still getting to know who you are based on your experiences. But a lot of times, the first relationship, you're simply just focused on the other person. And then that's why a lot of guys, they have a growth spur after they get out of a relationship. A lot of guys, they get buff, they get confident, they're talking to women, they're doing this, they're doing that. Why? Because they've spent that time getting to know themselves. And if you got out of a relationship and you got into another one right away, you're still going to suffer with the same problems because you didn't spend time alone. In order to get to know yourself, you have to spend time alone with you and get to know who you are. How do you feel at times? How does something piss you off? When do you get pissed off at things? When does something make you sad? When does something make you upset? When does something make you frustrated? When do you get happy? What makes you happy? I can tell you for me, when I know I've given it 100% and in my day I know I am fulfilled because I tried the most that I could, I am happy. I am content. I'm good. And then the next day, if I don't do that, then guess what? I'm feeling low. I'm not feeling my optimal version. I'm not feeling like the best version of myself that I know I can be. So that's learned through getting to know who I am, studying myself. But I had to go through a period of getting to know myself and myself only in order to get to know other people. Because how are how am I going to let you know who I am if I don't even know who I am? See, the reason why I can get on here confidently and speak on camera and I have no problem with it is because I know who I am. And I'm just sharing who I am through these videos, through my experience, so you guys can kind of get to know me as well. And at the same time, you get some value from this. But you can't hop on YouTube. You can't do this. You can't talk to people if you don't know who you are, because the other person gets to know you based on your information, based on what you tell them. And that's why some people who are very unconfident, they just portray a fake image. But when you do that, when you try to get someone to like you based on this image that you're telling them just off your words, and it's not really who you are at your core, people see through that shit. At first, you might be able to fool the people on Instagram. You might be able to fool people on social media because they don't know you. But the moment they start to get close to you, whether it's a woman, whether it's a friend, the closer and closer and closer they get, they start to see through the facade because you don't really know yourself. You don't really know yourself, and you've been painting this image of yourself to try to make you feel like you know yourself. But it's not true confidence. True confidence comes from knowing who you are. When you know, this is who I am, and let me show you who I am. Let me explain it to you. Let me experience life with you while I also tell you who I am so that you can get to know me. So I recommend, if you've gone through a breakup, if you've gone through a period in your life where you've been putting too much focus on other people, you've been focusing on parties, you've been focusing on going out, you've been focusing on doing drugs and hanging out and doing all the fun stuff and fucking bitches and doing this and doing that, I recommend you take some time to cut out all distractions and simply put the blinders on and focus on yourself. Because before you can get out there and get to know people, you got to know yourself first. If you don't know who you are, you're going to have trouble relaying your message of who you are to people. You're going to have trouble selling things. You're going to have trouble reaching high levels in your company. You're going to have trouble in your relationship because you don't know who you are, so you can't confidently tell your woman who you are. Your woman will get to know you if you know who you are, but she won't get to know who you really are if you haven't taken the time to learn about yourself. First, you must learn about yourself, and that will eliminate that social anxiety, that all that bullshit, the moment you start to get to know yourself. All right, guys, that's the video for today. Let me know what you guys think down below. All right, peace out.